Hello and welcome to my latest video. In this video I am hoping to share with you how to cast on basic knit stitch and how to cast off. So I'm hoping to do a 10 centimeter square and then hopefully by the end of this video you will know how to cast on and cast off with your knitting, as well as just do a basic knit stitch. I'm going to share with you what I'm going to be using to do this. So this is my ball of wool. It is just from my stash. It is a double knit, I believe, which means I think I need approximately 22 stitches and 28 rows to make it a 10 centimeter square. Whether that happens or not is another thing, but we're going to go with that. So using this wool, we are going to be using a set of needles. They are a 4mm. They do say 8 on mine, but that is a UK 8, which is a 4mm, and I think in the US it is a size 6 needle if you are in the US. I also have my tape measure just to double check what like the size roughly. So like I said, it is just going to be a basic square. So I'm going to get to it. I'm going to show you how to cast on to begin with. I can do this a couple of times, so so that you don't have to keep pausing, or if you prefer, just pause the video and do it that way. So to make the loop, I normally wrap it around my fingers. I want the loop, you can leave a little bit extra. I will leave a little bit extra because I don't always like having it that short, the little tail, but you want your loop to be able to be adjustable. Sorry, that went out of frame a bit. So you want it to be adjustable, so when you pull one side, it can kind of go up, or you can kind of pull it a bit out as well. So that is roughly what you want to do. I've left not much on the end. The way I cast on, I don't use like this end really. I'm using this. I cast on using 2 needles. You can cast on with 1 needle. This is just the route that I prefer to do. So we are just going to jump into it straight away. I would just like to point out I am no expert at all. I've been knitting for approximately, how many years? Over 25, I would say. I was taught by my mum when I was a child and have been on and off knitting since then. And this is just the way I prefer to do it. There are probably other people that do it different ways, but yeah, little disclaimer there. With your loop, put it on your first needle. I am right-handed, so that may change for you if you are left-handed, but I am a right-handed knitter, I believe anyway. Then with your second needle, you're going to put it through your loop, but it's going to be like the first part of your loop. So if I turn it so that you can see that way as well, okay? So on your first part of your loop, and then with your other hand, you want to kind of have a little bit of tension. So what I normally do, and it's entirely up to you how you grip, because there are so many different ways that you can wrap it. I prefer just putting my little finger through and then holding it with my hand there, just to give me a little bit of tension. Then we are going to go wrap around, and then we're going to pull it out, and then you can see we've got one on this one and then one on this one. We are just going to slip that stitch across, and then you have 2 stitches on 1 needle. I'm hoping you can see that. There we go. Okay, so I can do that again. That is just our basic start. Okay, so with your yarn, just pull it through, kind of make it so that it is movable, your little loop. It's not going to move when it's on my fingers. There we go. Okay. I'm hoping this is all in frame. I'm hoping you can see it. Okay. I am trying to keep check on the screen as well. So if I do look away from the camera, it's just because I'm trying to see, make sure my hands are where they should be. Okay, so pop your loop onto your needle, and then with your other needle, once you have your tension, obviously, okay, pop the yarn around, pull it through underneath, and then move it across to your other needle. Okay, so you've got 2 stitches on one needle now. Okay, and then to make our next stitch, we're going to do the same, but with the stitch that's obviously at the front. Okay, and then again around the needle, and then pull it through. Okay, and then that is your 3rd stitch. So I'm going to do that again, so around, through, and move on to the other needle. And always go through your front loop there. It's just the way I've been taught how to do it, and it hasn't changed for me over the years. So far I think we've got about 5 stitches. Okay, I'm hoping that you guys can see that. I'm going to continue. There we go, and move it across. Hopefully I'm not going too fast, but there you go. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8 stitches in total. We want 22, so I'm going to continue and get 22 on there. Okay, I'll try and show slowly so that you can pause if you want to. You probably are seeing this upside down. I hope it's an okay angle. I should have thought about that before starting. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. So through the first loop, and round. Okay. Okay. We have got 14 stitches on there so far, and as you can see, they are movable. You do want them movable, and if you do that like I've just done, you can either just take it off and add another stitch, but yeah, you do want it kind of movable. At the moment it might be feel a little bit tight, but we don't need to worry too much about that. Okay, go back in without twisting the wall over. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick count and just see where we're at. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So we need 4 more stitches. So that is 19. That is 20. 21. That should be the 22. So that is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. Okay, so that's 22 stitches on there. Okay, and you can see if you turn it over on the other side, there's kind of like this little plait along there. So it should kind of look a little bit like that on the underneath. Okay, so that is how you cast on. Hopefully you got a good idea of what that looks like. If you didn't, like I said, try it and pause and just go over again. Hopefully that will work for you. Now, next bit is like I'm going to be doing just like the basic knit stitch. It's pretty much what we've used to cast on, but you'll just be moving your work along the other needle. So we are going to be doing what is known as the garter stitch. So I'm going to be knitting every single row on these 22 stitches. So to start off with, again, you want your needle with your work in your one hand, your other needle, and obviously get your tension right as well. So to start off with, I'm just going to wrap it around my finger, and I've gone the wrong way. There we go. And then go into your first, so each of these stitches, I'll bring it up a little bit closer. So each of these stitches, it has a front and a back. I'm going to be working the knit stitch into the front of the loop. Okay, so you pop your needle through there and then take your wool around the needle, pull it through, and then we are going to just drop that stitch. Okay, so we'll do that again. So pop the needle through, around again, pull through the loop, and then with your finger you can help it along, pop the stitch off the end of the needle. So round, under, off. You can use your needle just to pull it off. So we're going to go into that first loop again, round, pull the loop through that we just made, and pull that stitch off. Okay, so I'm going to carry on with the rest of this row. There we go. So just carry on along until we reach the end. Sorry, I am knitting in trying to make sure you can see what I'm doing, but I am sorry if it goes off frame sometimes. Okay, right, we are getting to our last couple of stitches, so there we go. I'm not sure this is going to be 10 centimeters, but we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so that's the end of the first knit row. Okay, now we are going to move that back into our other hand. Okay, so let me just mark down that that was our first row, because I do want to keep a check of that, because I do want to get it to kind of be even. Okay, and now what you'll notice on this side, you've got all the stitches that you can see there kind of facing you, and then if you look on the other side, it's kind of like a little bit straighter. Okay, but you'll see what the garter stitch looks like in a moment. So we're going to do the same again for the second row, so doing all knit stitches, and we are just doing exactly the same as the row before, so just all knit. Okay. And then what I will do is I will go on and continue to do this square, and do the amount of rows that are needed to try and get it even. So here we go. See, my knitting doesn't look too great right now. I don't think my there we go. So I'm hoping it kind of looks a bit better once I've done a few rows, but you can see I don't normally do this garter stitch very often. There's not many patterns that I use to do it. So there you go. Okay, so we're going to continue again. This is the third row, and we are still doing just our knit stitch. I just hope I haven't been too, had the knitting too loose. It's probably because it's just the start of it that it looks like that. I always think that about my knitting. I always think the first row is like too loose, and then by the time I've gotten further down and it kind of works its way out, it's it looks fine. So let me just do this. What I might do is, if I can, I am going to try not to knit too fast, but I do want to get a bit of length on this, just to be able to show you exactly what the garter stitch looks like. Yeah, see, that's looking better already. It just needed another couple of rows, I think. Now we're going on to our fourth row now. And again, just keep with that knit stitch. So hopefully you get a good idea of what we are doing. Okay, so that is our fourth row. Let me see if I can lay that down so you can see. So you can see, like with the knitting, you can see the pattern starting to form. So all you're getting is like all the bubbles on both sides, because it's a knit stitch. So because you're doing the knit stitch, it's making like the pattern on both sides, whereas when you're doing like the stocking stitch, you'll see that one side is quite plain, and you can see a lot of the like it's quite a plain look to the front, whereas this is like more of like a textured one, whereas with a stocking stitch you'll have like one side that is quite plain and flat, and then the other side you get like all like the kind of like these stitches on the other side. So I hope that makes sense. Anyway, I'm going to continue. I'll probably quicken up this section of the video because I'm going to just do a few rows, I suppose I could do a few rows more showing the knit stitch, just in case you need you want to have another look at how I'm doing it. So I'll try and be a little bit slower on these 2 rows. There we go. So, oh, I've messed that up. I've gone through the loop. There we go. Put that back on. There we go. So, start again. I am trying not to go too fast, but I do understand I probably have got a bit of a tendency to knit a bit quick. There we go. So through the hole, round, pull it through underneath, through, there we go. Okay. And then I'll do one more row like that, and then I will quicken up this part of the video so that we can get to the cast off. There we go. Oops. There you go. So that is 6 rows that we've managed to do there. So I'm gonna have to move my my wall. It keeps tangling up with my microphone. Okay, so that's 6 rows that we've done there. There you can see the pattern's coming along quite nicely. I am going to continue, like I said, and I'm going to speed up this section of the video to be able to get to the cast off, to show you how to cast off as well. So bear with me and I will be back with you shortly. So I carried on. I think I initially said we needed about 28 rows to get to the 10 centimeters. I actually ended up going on to 42 rows. That's why I kept measuring in the speeded up section, because it wasn't, I could tell when I got to the 28 rows um it wasn't like equal, and I want this to be equal, because once I've done these squares, I'm hopefully gonna make them into like a blanket eventually when I get enough of them together. So that is what the garter stitch looks like. It looks the same on the front as it does on the back. Okay, so, and that is just working a knit stitch again and again and again and again. So that is that section finished. We are going to go on to casting off now. Casting off, we're still going to be casting off in a knit stitch. You can cast off in a purl stitch as well, but we're not going to do that today. We're just going to be casting off the same way that we've kind of continued through the rest of this square. So to cast off, we are going to go in. So you've got your needle with your work in one hand. I'm going to go into the first stitch. Again, get your tension, so however you feel comfortable, and then we are going to do a knit stitch and pass it over to the other needle, and then we're going to do another one. Okay, and then this time we've got 2 stitches on this needle, and we are going to move the first stitch, the original stitch that we put on that needle, we are going to pull it over the stitch that we've just put on the needle. Okay, so I will do that again without trying to undo my work completely. So just slip those back on. I'm just going to show that for you again and try and go slowly. So place your needle into the first stitch, get your tension, wrap the yarn around the needle. There's our first knit stitch. Then we are going to go into the second stitch on your left hand needle, go round, pull it through, and then you've got 2 knit stitches on this, and we want to get rid of one of them. So with your first stitch that you knitted on there, we are going to go into the loop and pull it over the needle, keeping the second loop on the needle. So you're always going to end up with just 1 stitch on this needle. Okay, so we're going to carry on with our knit stitch. There we go. And then again do the same, just pull over. Okay, so I'll try and do this as slowly as possible. There we go. Just a normal knit stitch. You're always taking off the needle, that's the stitch that is furthest away from this edge, basically. There we go. And then pop it over. And you can see, once I have got a little bit more length, I'll be able to show you what it should look like. Sorry, going in the wrong way there. Can be a bit fiddly, so it's always best to try and go a little bit slower. There we go. Getting to near to the end, and so that is I'll try and show you. That is what you're looking for. So it's almost like a plait right at the top of the work. We don't want to pull them too tight because otherwise it can make your knitting a bit wonky, particularly if you're doing squares. Then obviously you don't want it, because then it's got to kind of match up to the edge of another square, and you don't want it to look stretched or kind of like it doesn't quite fit. So get into the end. So I'm just going to show you again. So straight into the loop there, around, underneath, like we're with a normal knit stitch. Then we are going to go pull that loop the furthest away from the pointed edge of the needle over the stitch that we've just done. Okay. There we go. And now we're getting to the end of our knitting, so we've only got 2 stitches left, and it's no different. You still continue to do that the same way. You end up with one stitch on the needle overall, and this is the bit I haven't planned for, and I haven't gotten some scissors. Bear with me. Okay, so we are going to just cut the yarn. I know I'm using sewing scissors, I really shouldn't. We are just going to, so pull out your loop a little bit. We're going to, the yarn that we've just cut, we're just going to thread through that loop and then just fasten off there. Okay, and then that is what you should be left with. So a little square with like 2 tail ends, which if you're gonna be making squares like this and making a blanket, you can either use it to kind of join the seams, or you can weave it into your work depending on how you want to do it. But that's what you end up with. So that is a garter stitch square, and as you can see, it's the same pattern front and back. Okay. Anyway, that is it for this video. I hope you found it useful. I hope I didn't go too fast. If I did, I do apologise. Like I said, just pause at certain sections and just re-go over. I did try and do it a couple of times just in case you needed it repeated again. Yes, so I hope you found it useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment or any questions if I did go too fast and you need kind of going over on a technique or anything like that, then do drop me a comment and I will try and get back to you as soon as I can. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.